Hi Super Stallions, today we're going to review a couple of watercolor techniques. We are going to look at what a resist does to our paints. We're going to look at a tape resist and an oil pastel resist, and then we're going to look to see what salt and plastic wrap and paper towel do in terms of texture. Let's do it. All right, let's start with some tape, and I've torn this painter's tape so the line's a little bit more thin and a little more natural, like a drawn line. Anywhere I use tape is going to be white, so it's allowing me to work negatively. So I'm thinking about this sort of tree shape with my tape. I'm going to set it on my paper, tear smaller pieces if I want to, and just kind of press them down. They need to stay on my paper until the next time I have art. I can tear them really skinny if I want to. Same sort of idea as using oil pastels because the paint will glide right over it. So I could use a white oil pastel to make skinnier branches on my tree. I'm going to press nice and hard, especially if it's hard to see what I'm doing. I can do the same thing with different colors of oil pastel or crayons. So if I want some green leaves on my tree, I could add them now. And I could do that white oil pastel anywhere on my paper. Let's say I want to add some cloud shapes or some star shapes, or I want to outline something with the oil pastel. I could totally do that. Then I'm going to start painting. I'm going to use my big red brush and get my color nice and mixed in the paint set. I know that I don't mix colors in the paint set, but that I certainly can on my paper. I'm going to start painting on my paper. To make bright colors, I'm going to use lots of paint and less water. Not so it's sticky, but so the color's nice and bright. If I want to mix colors, I'm going to remember to rinse my brush off before I get my next color, and then I can just let them mix on my paper. If it's too much of a color, I'll just switch to the next one. So the other things we're going to add today to our painting are salt, plastic wrap, and we're going to try a little paper towel. And they're all things that need to sit on our painting while it's drying in the rack. So if I add them to my painting today, I'm going to put them in the rack and let them sit till the next time I have art. So I'm painting right on top of that tape and right on top of the oil pastel. So the first thing we'll try is salt. And the first thing to know about salt is that it needs to sit on a really wet spot in your painting. It can't be all dried up already. And there needs to be plenty of paint and plenty of water for it to work. So if I want to add a little salt to my cloud right here, I'm going to get plenty of paint in there and plenty of water. And then I'm going to take my salt, and I just want just a little pinch of salt. So just a tiny little bit in my hand, and I'm just going to sprinkle it on my paper. It's really important to not move the salt after you put it down. I don't want to move the salt. I just want to let it sit there until my painting is all dry. I'll use my plastic wrap to make kind of a land space right here. I don't want it really flat because it won't do anything. I want it kind of crumpled up into a shape. But again, it won't work where the paint's starting to dry. So I need my paint and my water to be nice and thick on my paper. Wetter than we normally would. Wetter than we'd normally leave our paper. Once it's nice and wet and there's plenty of paint, then I can crumple my plastic wrap up, kind of set it down real gently, and let it sit. Again, if I move it, just like the salt, it's not going to have the same effect. Last thing we're going to look at is paper towel, and I've torn up some paper towel, and I can just kind of set it in wet spots. Or if I have a particular spot I want it to sit, again, I'll get plenty of paint and let the paper towel sit right there. Again, if I move it, it's not really going to give me much texture. It's not going to do a lot. So I'm going to let these sit, and then we're going to look at them tomorrow after they're all dry.